Something peculiar happened between the man and his mistress.
Well, yes, Kat, that much can be agreed upon.
What reason could you have to disagree? You haven't heard the story.
No, that's why I agreed.
Regardless, something peculiar happened between the man and his mistress.
Irregardless, not regardless.
No, regardless, something very peculiar happened between the man and his mistress.
Yes.
Yes, Marion, the beginning of the story is as follows.
I follow.
The mistress had a birthmark, and she entered Dr. Wildermeyer's office to have it removed.
Sort of a strange way to meet your mistress, huh? Chopping off a hairy mole.
No. Dr. Wildermeyer is a woman. Mr. Wildermeyer is Dr. Wildermeyer's husband. They met after the operation when Dr. Wildermeyer was being brought Persian soup by Mr. Wildermeyer.
I'm unfamiliar with the contents of Persian soup. A gentleman once asked me for Persian soup while I was serving at the Rosa. I thought he said person soup.
Anyway, that is the beginning. The end is that Mr. Wildermeyer's mistress is now a man. What's fuzzy is the middle of the story, as is the middle of the mistress.
Perhaps her womanhood was the victim of infidelity's retribution.
Perhaps. We may never know. Caring is a rather labored endeavor for me, hence I never bothered to solve the mystery. What I will say is that infidelity is one of the only true subhuman acts. It is perfect immorality.
Well, it certainly isn't a wise decision, but certain circumstances can prompt anyone to do such a thing. Not to mention, perfect immorality is not subhuman, but is in fact perfectly human.
To do that to someone you love is just...
Unjust.
Well, yes, I would never do that to someone
Someone you love?
Well, yes.
What's your relation to the man?
Reword your question, I don't follow.
Well, you said it was a story of someone you knew. How did you know him?
Oh, he was actually my tutor in history.
Well, he certainly must be well versed in history, having such a colorful one himself. You don't strike me as the type to lag behind, academically, that is.
History fosters a little intrigue for me. I'm much more of a mathematical thinker.
I know, believe me, I know. Everything's black and white with you.
Well, no. I wouldn't go that far. I'm much more complex than such a brief insight into our affairs could possibly expose. Being fictional has its perks, but it can be rather confining, as I'm sure you know. I'm the archetypical logician, simply being used to represent someone who views morality as digital.
Yes, and I suppose I would be your unlikely match. The classic opposites attract, you know. I view ethnics as a gray area.
You mean ethics?
What did I say?
Ethnics.
Oh, well, that won't do. Although, the state of racial relations is slowly becoming less polarized. I mean, through generations of miscegenation...
All right.
I guess what I mean is, everything's a spectrum, and morality cannot be reduced to a function of a single variable that yields a single output. You can't set a formula to... love, for instance, which is both an indicator and catalyst for morality.
Oh, okay. So love is, in essence, an expression of morality.
Well, that's sort of an oversimplification. What I'm saying is that you're trying to express morality in theorems and laws. It doesn't work that way. It's just sort of a feeling you have to acquaint yourself with.
Yours is the more commonly accepted theory, sure, but I would say that every action is either moral or immoral. Your fallacy is in considering morality as one would consider Schrodinger's cat. Ambiguity makes it both alive and dead, both moral and immoral, but that's simply not how it works.
On the contrary, you're wrong.
Oh, I see. And the story with the man and the mysterious mishap involving an unexplained sex change operation. What's the moral?
The moral?
The moral.
Could you find one?
Could you?
Should you?
You should.
I suppose you should if you could. Can you?
I can.
Okay, shoot.
Infidelity, regardless of your gray areas, is wrong. And I would never do something like that. To you.
To me?
To you, you know how I feel.
Yes, but I was hoping we could avoid this, or at least postpone it.
And why is that?
It's just that love stories are so played out. By introducing a romantic interest, we've diminished the strength of the moral, or the theme if we wish to speak academically.
On the contrary, I would say that any competent viewer of this film would understand that our love is a metaphor for the unity of separate and seemingly conflicting ideologies.
Oh, so you're saying that our love does not diminish the theme at all, but instead presents a new one.
Indeed. But the author has a flair for pessimism, so let's end on a conflicting note. I have leukemia.